And welcome back to This Week. I'm pleased to be joined by 6th District Republican Congressman Diane Black. Always nice to see you.
It's always good to be here with you, Bob.
I know you're glad to get back to the district every now and then. As you go around your district, what are folks talking to you about? What's on their minds?
Yeah, we're still hearing jobs and the economy and people not being able to find good jobs. And so that, I think, is the biggest. And then we also hear about what's happening with the health care, how premiums are going up. People are losing their doctors. They're losing their hospital providers. And that's a really big concern because this is a personal thing.
Sure.
When you have a relationship with a doctor or you have a relationship with a physical therapist and you lose that because the networks are so narrow. And then again, the cost, as the president said, that families are going to save about $2,500 a year. What we're now finding is it's costing them an additional $2,100. So for those that are having that kind of increase, and we don't know what that increase is going to be in the fall, talked to Julie McPeak just a couple of days ago. She was up in Congress speaking to us about what's going on and asked her what does she think that they're going to see in the fall as they set the new rates. And right now, there's some indication that there are going to be some rising rates for people.
Let's talk a little bit more about Obamacare. You've never been a fan. You do not like the program.
That's
no
right.
secret there.
That's right.
Speaker Boehner just a couple of weeks ago said you can't repeal this with 8 million people on without having some kind of replacement anyway.
That's right.
Do you agree with that?
Well, I agree that you have to have a replacement. And I do think there are a couple of things in Obamacare that we should keep. I think that people shouldn't be limited if they have a pre-existing condition not to be able to get insurance. That is also in our plan. We have a plan that has come out of our Republican Study Committee, of which I am a member of and signed on to that bill. The other thing is I don't think it's fair to ask somebody to have a lifetime limit on the amount of care that they can get. If you have a 3-year-old child that finds out that is diabetic, I mean, obviously, for the rest of that child's life, they're going to need care. So I think that is absolutely two pieces that are necessary. And then, of course, those staying on their parents' insurance until they're 26.
I've got several doing that.
I think that that is one that we also should keep. But most of the other things that just took over 1/6 of our economy without very much help for people actually getting insurance. We don't really know at this point in time. I know they say 8 million people have signed on, but we don't know how many of those are duplications, how many have actually paid for the insurance, how many of those already had insurance, but had their insurance either dropped on them or it was too high, and then they had to go into the exchange to get insurance. So none of that is really very clear, and the administration is not very forthcoming with letting us know.
You're a nurse, you deal with health care issues on a one-to-one basis.
Yes.
You see these things on a one-to-one basis. You're part of the midterm re-election. You have an opponent. You'll be running for re-election. Is this going to be one of those issues? Will it continue into November that people are still talking about that will maybe decide this election?
Well, absolutely. I think it will. I think that as we see more and more of the bill actually being rolled out, and who knows what it really is right now, because there have been about 40 changes that the president has just on a whim said, we're going to keep this or we're not going to keep that. So there's really still a lot of confusion out there. But as I say, when people start getting their information about their premiums for the next year, I think that as we see that and the premiums are expected to go up nationwide, we're told they'll probably go up by double digits. In some instances, maybe even 40 to 50% increase, which obviously is going to be very difficult for people to afford. And it will impact the way that they look at the leaders of their country and decide who do we want to have to lead us.
IRS official Lois Lerner has been held in contempt of Congress for not testifying for taking the Fifth Amendment. You're part of the investigation, part of the committee looking into this. Where is this going from here? Are we looking at prosecution? Are we looking at possible jail time for someone down the road?
And, of course, people ask me this question all the time. Why don't you prosecute her? Well, by the Constitution, Congress does not have the ability to be able to prosecute. What we can do is investigate, and then we turn it over to the Department of Justice, which, of course, is Eric Holder, which we have done. The committee, which I am on, Ways and Means, has jurisdiction over this issue as well as government oversight. But we have something a little more than what oversight actually has. We have what they call 6103 privileges, where we can actually see without being redacted the information. Our committee has gone through over 600,000 pages of emails, and we have found that there is a very clear line that Lois Lerner was targeting conservative groups. Furthermore, we know that she misled the Inspector General, and we know that she was using her personal home email address to be able to communicate taxpayer information with people back at the government and other places. We don't know about all of that yet because they still haven't turned over all of her personal emails to us. But with just those 3 items that we absolutely know about, and we do have documentation that we handed to the Department Department of Justice, because it is our jurisdiction and also our responsibility to have oversight, that there is no doubt that there should be a special committee named. Attorney General Eric Holder has said at this point in time he doesn't see a need to do it. Well, we've given him the information to show him there is more than just a need, it's a necessity. This must be done to assure people that they can have confidence in their government, and most especially in a department that has such sensitive information in our own lives. To be targeted and have our information corrupted is just unconscionable, and we've got to gain trust of the American people back.
The House has also set up a committee looking into the Benghazi tragedy. Democrats look like they're not going to take part. They're calling it in some ways a witch hunt, saying that everything that has happened there we now know about. You obviously disagree. You think there's more to come.
Absolutely disagree. And they have named a better person in Trey Gowdy. He is a prosecutor. He is a voracious questioner. But Trey has set the tone for this, and I think it is absolutely appropriate. What he's saying is we're just going to allow the facts to lead us. And that's the problem, is we don't have all the facts. Why is it that other countries were pulling out of Libya and we stayed there? Why did it take 7 hours before they sent for any help of those 4 brave men that we lost there? Why is it that no one has been brought to justice at this point in time? These are all questions that deserve to be answered, most importantly for the families, number one. But they deserve to be answered for our country as well, to say, what are we doing in these foreign countries? And if we can't protect those people that we send, we can learn lessons by this as well. But this has to be investigated. This is another one of those situations where you can't just let this go. Unfortunately, Secretary Clinton said, well, 4 men have died. What's the difference? Well, the difference is these are 4 men, number one. Their families deserve to know what's happening. But as we send other brave men and women, whether it's in the State Department or with our military, into these countries where we know it's very dangerous, we have to assure them that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that if they're in a difficult situation, we're coming to help them.
Congressman Diane Black, always nice to speak with you. Thank you.
Always good to speak with you as well. Thank you.
Stay with us. This week continues in a moment.